Macho Marona Koi Koi. Hello and welcome into the Blood of the Podcast, guys. This is your host, Kyle, better known as KW Dent.
Zeldrizis Fusari Ixostaur. Dragon's not a slave, and neither is Lady Triple, your other co-host.
Welcome in today, guys. We are burning through a Song of Madness here. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Hopefully everybody is staying safe here in quarantine. How are you doing here so far today? How's it going today, Triple?
Haven't left the house in 18 days. So I'm doing just fine. I'm slaying in.
I am too. Yeah, it's been definitely an adjustment. I know for everybody, just a change in the world. I haven't left the house except to go to the store, which is what we all should be doing right now. Of course, let those people out on the front lines do what they need to do, and let's get through this. But yeah, a Song of Madness is burning through. Today we're here to cover round 4, which have some crazy matchups. We talked about, we preluded a couple of them last episode. So we do have about half as many matchups to talk about here today. So this will be a shorter episode. We'll see how long it ends up going, but we are going to talk about, we have some big name characters to get in here today. So I think we're going to jump on in here to our matchups. Anything else to add in our intro here, Christina?
Stay in, y'all. Stay safe.
And stay safe. Alrighty.
Stay mad, baby. Stay mad.
I'm definitely staying mad. and the Song of Madness is attributing to it for sure. No, it's been a ton of fun. Thank you, as always, of course, to Matt and Scad for, tons of work that they put into it. So in our first matchup, we talked about this one a little bit last time because it was live going on while we were recording. Arya Stark versus Sansa, two of certainly my favorite characters in the entire in the entire story here. Arya did pull it out, which we alluded to last time. This one kind of surprised me that Arya was... I thought Sansa was going to win. How about yourself?
Yeah, I was wondering where the Sansa Stark defense squad was at, because it seems like they weren't coming out at least as hard for Sansa as they did for Arya this time, and it just didn't seem like a very close match or very. I mean, it was close, but
it was close,
I guess I don't know. I was thinking it would be a little bit more heated than this one, but hey, Arya pulled it out, and she's kind of like a faceless man in this competition. Year over year, she seems to kind of sneak past these other opponents that you think would kind of have it.
Yeah, and what really happened is early on, like in Sansa's first vote off or her first matchup, she's only been getting in the 1,400 vote total, which was quite low. And that's for me why I was thinking, okay, maybe people are really starting to get tired of Arya. She's won back-to-back years, very strong competitor, character I love myself, but we've seen her win twice. And I thought Sansa, Queen in the North, with that show bump might, I expected her to win, maybe even handedly, and she did, and it was a 6% margin here. So Arya won. I mean, like you said, it was close. It wasn't quite as heated as I thought. I thought we might have a 50-50 back and forth on this one. But when it mattered, Arya's fans did come out. She didn't end up getting 3,000 votes in this matchup, so she really jumped up there on that one. So yeah, she was able to pull it out against Sansa. R.I.P. Queen in the North, Queen in my heart, number one in my heart.
I really thought Sansa had more legs this year, but apparently she did not. And I'm wondering if there's almost an anti-show sentiment. We'll see with some of the other rounds that, some unlikely characters are kind of pulling out here, especially the Targaryens, since they got a little decimated their reputation, especially Daenerys in the show. So we've seen that kind of show a little bit differently in these matchups.
Yeah, which segue into Arya's next opponent, Daenerys Targaryen. We'll see, depending on when you're listening to this, what happened with that one. But yeah, the Targs are certainly doing well this year. Arya will go up against Dany in our next round here. We did have a tweet, Regent, and we'll discuss this one a little bit because I liked this tweet a lot. This was from at Megabrom TV, Sven, who tweeted, Sansa is currently in the Vale being mentored by a murderer and decides that she wants to be a good person. Arya is currently in Bravos being mentored by mass murderers and decides that she wants to be a mass murderer too. The choice is easy. It's a funny tweet, right? It's funny, but it is an interesting topic of conversation between these two, like with what their end games might end up being between Sansa and Arya in the books. Of course, we did see in the show. We kind of talked about it. Sansa becomes Queen of the North, and Arya becomes, I don't know, whatever Arya ends up being in the show. I do think in the books, like what Arya ends up being in the revelations that she has to pay for the path that she has taken with the Faceless Men is not going to be as cool and badass as it was in the show. You know, maybe she does still sail off into the West like she does at the end of season 8, but I think it's going to look very different. Whereas I do think Sansa is going to be crowned Queen of the North, and you're going to have that triumph there. So yeah, I guess what do you think about that one between those two?
That's what I love about this competition is that it forces you to look at your characters in relation to one another, which we
Yeah,
never really thought
right.
about. So seeing as, oh yes, they were both being kind of mentored, they both lost, their parents and they're far away from each other and being mentored by the people that they're surrounded by. Sans and what Sansa and Arya kind of choose differently really says a lot about each of them as a character. And I agree with Sven here that the choice was easy. Sansa, I think, made a little better decisions. But then again, Arya was kind of out in the wild, and she's a little wild girl herself, so
She
who
is,
knows what we
yeah.
would have done.
Yeah, and that's not to like I would agree. I think Sansa has actively made better decisions, but that's not to. Arya is very young, and she's thrown out into a war-torn world when she is thrown out at the end of a Game of Thrones into the Riverlands. And one of the most brutal scenes from the story that certainly sticks with me, and I know is obviously very famous, is her stabbing of the Tickler. When she's saying how many, how many, how many, and it is heart wrenching because this poor child's been put into that situation, and it's really good and deep and tragic writing by George. But I think that's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be, oh yeah, man, she's so cool. Like that's obviously not the message it's supposed to be. And yes, you can root for Arya for being tragic. So I'm kind of circling the drain here, defending both sides of that. But Arya moved on. I did want Sansa. But see, great tweet. Look at the conversation that something like that spawns. That's what's great about this tournament. A couple other favorite characters here that made it very far. And so this is where I'd like to stop and say kudos to the guys, Matt and Scad from Davos Fingers, because this late in the tournament, we have Sandor Clegane and Mira Reed in the support staff, two characters who are widely acclaimed, have massive fan followings, and they get to be here in round 4 of the tournament and still being discussed. Uh, Sandor did win this one. I was kind of up in the air. I guess I'm not surprised Sandor won, but Mira does have this cult following, and she unfortunately wasn't really able to put it up against Sandor, who had 63.4% of the vote on this one here. What did you think about this one, Christina?
Well, he's been doing really strong throughout the matches.
Mm-hmm.
His average is 1,411, and he got 1,422 votes this time. So his average is pretty much stabilized. This is how many people are coming out for the
Right.
Hound every time. And he won this one with a, almost 27% win margin, 63.4% of the vote. And Mira lost by 601 votes. That's, quite a lot. So she's a strong competitor, but this year the Hound has really got a lot of notoriety, a lot of
Yeah.
love in the fandom.
Yeah, he really has. And like you said, his vote counts have been like I was looking at it too when I was putting them in, so stable. They're within like 10 votes per round or something incredibly close. So, yeah, he clearly has a number he's hitting every time. And nothing against Mira. Love Mira Reed as well, but yeah, Sandor is this character. We've talked about it in the past where he's got this very stark adjacent role. We just talked about Arya and Sansa. He is very tied into those themes of Arya and Sansa. And, Kelly and I, my fiance, we're actually reading So she's reading through for the first time, and we're in a Storm of Swords right now. We've just finished Clash of Kings recently, and when you have these characters like Arya and Sansa and Sandor, who shows up, in the Battle of the Blackwater and then runs into Arya, these themes of mercy between them are so all over the page that, even as a first time reader, of course, she's unfortunately had to live with me. So she is not really a first time reader. She knows everything. She's a show watcher and everything like that. But she'll pick up on it and be like, oh my gosh, you're right. Look at how these themes are tied together. And again, a total attribute to, this writing by George, that you have these characters. It's why people love Sandor. And you know what? Not even just talk about him, but Mira is kind of the same way with Bran, right? She's tied into a lot of these Stark themes and how Howland and the Neck, combine with that pact of ice and fire and all these different things. And then these two characters meet in a tournament, and you have these two Stark adjacent characters that, spawn all this interesting conversation. But we did have our tweet region. Did you want to go on to this one there, Christina?
Sure. It's not to be biased, but it's totally biased. It's Lipbringers. And they did a Crannog Min Crunk. So on behalf of Winterfell Orcs, which Winterfell Orcs and the North Remembers has been petitioning us to do a Mir Reed song. We didn't do it for the Dolores one, and they were all mad, but we had it waiting. And Mandy and Michael got together and did this Crannog Min Crunk, the real OGs out of the BOG. So check it out. Check out at Lipbringers on Twitter. We'll be dropping more filks or parody songs after the madness. So please follow us. And yeah, enjoy our content.
Yeah, your guys' content in this tournament has been awesome, and you guys are putting a ton of work into that. So it's been a nice little addition to the tournament, having all these, really awesome songs. I don't even know how to begin doing something like that. So, kudos to you guys and, Michael and Adrian, everybody doing that. You guys are doing a great job there.
Thank you.
So yeah, we will see that video here. And then we did move on. We've got our players bracket. I really liked this matchup, Alysanne Targaryen versus Rhaenyra. Again, late in the tournament, we have two characters who are not, you don't maybe think of first of when you think of the series, but realistically, if you're ranking characters historically, these are major, major characters in the history of Westeros, and they're still here for us to talk about, which is a lot of fun. Alysanne was able to take it. I think I said last episode, no surprise. I would have been pretty shocked if Rhaenyra was really able to put anything up against the good queen Alysanne here. Alysanne got 65% of the vote, 64.9% of the vote against Rhaenyra, who only managed about 670 votes. So she lost by about 30%. I think you agreed, right? This would have been surprising, huh?
Yeah, and I'm so excited for historical figures to make it this far, which is the new format's kind of allowed for this. And yes, coming in, there were some differences in the win margins, but it's when you put your thoughts to it, Alysanne was definitely going to carry this out, just like we suspected, by a huge margin. I mean, 30% in this point is pretty big. And she goes on to face Bloodraven, which, looking at the stats now, this looks like kind of a toss-up. So
yeah,
I'm not really sure what to expect from this, but I'm excited that a book character, and also Bloodraven's more of a historical character than, even an Aswaf or Game of Thrones character. Even though people, I don't know, the guy in the tree was not Bloodraven to me. There's no birthmark. I don't see it. So it wasn't him. And he had two eyes. So I don't believe it. So I'm really excited to see them duke it out in this next round.
Yeah, me as well. And something interesting, if we go like super meta and we're talking about the future of this franchise and stuff, like we're kind of in like this lull period right now where Game of Thrones, the show, is over. We don't have Winds of Winter. House of the Dragon is due some point in the future, 2021 maybe. So the content is in a bit of a lull period. However, from the business side, there's a lot of untapped money that we know HBO and other networks are going to want to continue making this story about. There's also a really good story to write. So it's not just the money. There's very good story to write. My point being here is that, we're seeing Alisane very deep into this tournament right now in 2020, March or April now of 2020. In the future, Alisane Targaryen could very well appear on the HBO small screen and become, as much or close to as much of a household name as Daenerys Targaryen. And that'll be interesting to look back years later and see, oh my gosh, Alisane, she's winning every year in these tournaments or, whatever it is. I just think the influence of media, right, of the show and more books is going to be interesting as we move forward. And Rhaenyra Targaryen, the same thing, because she could very well appear in House of the Dragon. So that's why I like that they're here right now, because we are. I hope we see at least one of these characters in House of the Dragon. I mean, we don't know what it's going to cover yet at this point, but yeah, I think it'll be very interesting. Did you want to read our tweet regent for this one?
Sure thing. We have Courtney Mazza at Courtney Mazza1, good friend of ours. If you make me choose between Alisane and Brienne, I'm going to rage quit this sadistic game. Again, did I learn this lesson last time? LOL. Which is kind of what all of us are feeling, right?
Yeah.
I've kind of rage quit a few points, but
oh yeah, you always think you're like, oh well, it's not that. I don't care. I'm not going to get that worked up over it or anything. And then you log on and you
invested.
See, yeah,
I'm not getting invested.
No, I won't get invested. And then you log on and see Arya and Sansa, and you go, oh fuck.
Well, yeah, so everyone can thank/blame me for bringing Brian into the tournament, and so we're at home, and he's like, oh, blah. And I'm like, I'm trying to take a meditative break from the madness right now. She's like, but I'm like, oh my gosh, it's everywhere, the madness. But hey,
you can't get away from it.
I know, I've already rage quit about like 3 times. How about you?
Yeah. Oh, at least 3 times. Yeah. I'll even just see it, and then I don't want to get drawn into it, but yeah. So it's
kind of our jobs.
It is. No, I enjoy. I usually am able to stay pretty out of it. Although, look, listen, sometimes you just get brought into it. You can't help it. I'm usually pretty good about trying to stay out of it, or at least I think I am. But self-awareness and all that. We then had in our Warriors matchup, really good one. Really liked this matchup: Brienne versus Robb Stark. 2 favorites, 2 people who, of course, had performed exceedingly well throughout the tournament. Again, not a huge surprise here. Brienne did pull away with this one. Robb performed very admirably throughout this bracket, but Brienne did get 66.4% of the vote to Robb's 33.6. She had about 1,800 votes to Robb's 928. I love Robb Stark, and I'm glad that he's at least able to crack this far into the tournament, but it's just tough when he goes up against a character like Brienne, who is a relatively major point of view character, and Robb is simply not, right? What do you think there, Christina?
Definitely. And I mean, for Brienne to get 2/3 of the vote at this point in the competition, she's a major player in this game. Everybody loves Brienne. I love Brienne. You love Brienne. We all love her. And for her, now her win margin's 56%, and she's not going up against, crap here. I mean, I guess maybe Loras, but sorry. I mean, Flowers. Yeah, sorry. Don't at me. No, he had like 280 votes last time. I stand by that. So yeah, I love, she was able to take out a Stark. He didn't even break 1,000 votes. He had a good win margin, but she's just a power player this tournament by winning by 1/3 of the vote. That's huge right now. And so she goes up to face Oberyn, which is going to be an interesting matchup. I think she'll take him. I think it'll probably be one of her lowest win margins, but she'll take it, I think. And I think she's here to take. Well, that will be for the Warriors bracket, I believe. So
yeah.
I think she's here for the Warriors bracket. I think she's a power player. She's top.
Yeah, I think she will beat Oberyn. I do have to say, Oberyn has performed much better than I expected he would this tournament. I mean, honestly, he beat Stannis, and I know Stannis is this like character we all fight about. But I was surprised he beat Stannis, who's a very major character. Oberyn's in the books very limitedly. Like, he left a very good impression, and rightfully so. But Stannis is a probably the most major point of view character in the entire not or I'm sorry,
He
non
ain't point
point of
of
view
view.
character.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said he ain't POV, but
Non point of view character, yeah, the most major non point of view character outside of maybe Robb Stark. Which what I was going to ask you is, because this has been a topic of discussion George has kind of talked about recently. I might have even briefly brought it up last episode. Are you Would you prefer to have a Robb Stark POV? Are you happy with him being, only seen through Catelyn's perspective and things like that?
I liked it in the sense that
Yeah.
it added mystique, and he was the only kind of Stark character that
Yeah.
didn't get one. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I suppose maybe one chapter would be interesting, but I didn't think you needed it because you had Catelyn there.
Yeah, I agree. I like Robb Stark not being a point of view. I think it adds to he I think it adds to, I think mystique's a good word, where it adds to this legend of who he is, and you get to see this young boy growing up through somebody else's eyes. We already have the central male role who we're in their head growing up through, right? We have Jon Snow. We've already seen that perspective. Robb certainly would be different to a degree because he is going through different things like leading an army at a very young age. But I I think it's interesting to get that other side of it from Catelyn looking at Robb, and so I'm purely happy with it. I'm glad they did it that way. So, R.I.P. Robb Stark. Unfortunately, it always ends up that way for you. We'll see you next year. Good tweet here from Walder Frey, at the Frey voting block, who tweeted, "Now, my children, do it now! Justice for House Frey! Vote Brienne and spit on Robb Stark's corpse, just as that Lysan Arbor told us to." Pretty
I
sure
love
that's
that
how they sound.
yeah, I love that account's just made to troll
Yep.
Chloe
It's
Eisner. We
literally
love
just true.
Chloe.
Oh, I
It's
love Chloe.
I think she thinks it's funny, I hope.
Happy belated birthday, Chloe. Her birthday was, I think
Yes.
her birthday is April 1st, so happy belated birthday there at Lysan Arbor. I do love that account is purely just made to troll Chloe. It's phenomenal. So, all right. Moving back into big shots here. Daenerys Targaryen and Jaime Lannister, two characters we certainly love. Um, this was close. There were some potential circumstances we'll talk about, but Daenerys Targaryen at 51.9% of the vote, so she did pull it out, but it was close here. She only got 51.9%. I thought it would be a lot higher. Jaime managed to get 2,900 votes himself, but you know what? Jaime has won the tournament in the past. Jaime Lannister's a very big character within the zeitgeist of the community. He's a very well loved point of view character, so there are a lot of things going in Jamie's favor as well. But yeah, he did lose here. Was it closer than you expected?
I suppose. Yeah, it was definitely a nail biter for sure. But I don't know. I mean, there's dragons in the air, baby. There's dragons. It's Danny's had the hardest bracket so far
Yeah,
of anyone from the very first, and she's just dominating every time. And I mean, I know a 3.8% margin isn't exactly dominating, but she got 3,161 votes, which is very impressive, more than
yeah,
Arya, and her average is 2,860. So I think she's got this over Arya.
I think
I
so
know
too.
her average margin is only 12%, but she's had a tough path. And,
Yeah,
I think she could win the tournament.
I think so too. And I mean, she like right off the bat, so she had a bye, but then it was Dunk, John, and then Jamie. Those are three incredibly difficult matchups. I mean, in the second round to have Dunk, some people have had, like you said, with Brienne and Loris earlier, right? Which, sorry, Loris, but you're no Sir Duncan the Tall, even though you maybe want to be. But yeah, to have Dunk resounding win against Dunk, to beat John, and then go up against Jamie, boy, she's coming for it this tournament. I think this might be the year of the dragon. Personally, I really do.
Yes, me
So
too.
Yeah. Love Jamie. We just read, like I said, Kelly and I, we just read her first Jamie chapter in A Storm of Swords very recently. So I'm very happy to be going through those, Storm Jamie chapters and then Feast Jamie chapters, which are better than Storm. Don't at me. But yeah, R.I.P. Jamie Lannister. I'm super
Yes.
happy Danny's doing this well
Yeah,
in
me
this
too.
season.
I love Jamie. I'm sorry, Jamie. I'm sorry you
Yeah.
had to die on this hill, but we're here for
I'm
Daenerys.
here
Like
for
the
Danny.
Field of Fire 2.0,
Yep.
2.5, 2.5, baby. All right, let's move on. Yes, this is 2.5. Let's move on to our tweet region. We have Professor Castle at Sir Buckley. Best taxi driver. Jamie might call me names and will crash if he sees a woman who looks like Cersei walk by. Daenerys is going to drive me via air. Plus, take me on an enlightened path where we save an entire continent from slavery. I'll take that one, please.
Love Joe. Joe's great, man. I love his podcast too, at Isle of Faces. If you go listen over there, he's using different things every day that he's using to vote on. So I have or different requirements. So I always love tweets from Professor Castle. Go check out his book too. He wrote. I don't actually have it yet. The Castle's book, Castles of Westeros. So I would definitely go check that out if you haven't yet. Moving into players, Bloodraven and Olenna Tyrell. We talked about this one last time here. Bloodraven was able to pull it out, which is what I expected, but I think, like you said, you kind of were more on the side that Olenna was more of a player, and you were right. I mean, this was close, 56.7% to 43.3%. So he didn't blow her out of the water. Olenna has left a major impression on people, despite, as I keep harping on, not very much page space. So yeah, what did you think on this one?
Again, I think it's honestly the legacy of the show
Yeah.
versus the legacy of the books for
Oh, for
me.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, Bloodraven has just kind of permeated through different times. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, one of my favorite, obviously, I don't know, back in the day before it got, I don't know, it got super popular. I remember, you read the books, you go on the Reddit, and then you read R plus L equals J, and you're like, okay, yeah. And, that was a big turning point for some people.
Oh,
But
for
when I
sure.
read about Mormont's Raven and that was Blood
Uh-huh.
Raven the whole time, I was like, that was my favorite thing ever. And that just really did it for me because you never know if he's around. You're like, what is it? Is that oh look,
Oh,
there's
is
my sigil. His sigil is right behind
uh,
me. It's like he's always there. And that's cool, baby. That's cool.
yeah,
Come look.
I love all that shit. I love he's right behind you. That's right. He's got his third eye just above your head there on the YouTube. Go check it out. Uh
Yeah.
no, I love the Blood Raven, in the books, if it's whether it's Mist that's showing up, right? When Mist is present, people have pointed to Blood Raven being there. With the Ghost of High Heart, a lot of people connect Blood Raven with the Ghost of High Heart, or at least I have. And then you connect the Ghost of High Heart to all these characters like Arya and Rhaegar, and that connects back into RLJ even. So, and a
He's
lot of
got
that
his hand in everything.
he does, yeah. I think so. And a lot of that gets very tinfoily, very easy. So he's probably the funnest character to go tinfoily with because he has the ability to do it, to be that way with, right? Like, you can't say certain things where characters just would never have the ability to be involved in certain things. Like, I'm sorry, but Euron's not Dario or some bullshit like that. But Bloodraven could actually be involved in a lot of these different things in reasonable ways, or at least semi-reasonable ways in a fantasy world. So, um, R.I.P. Diana Riggs, phenomenal actress. We just got in. I ordered it was me shirt. So I mean, one of the
Yes. I
best
need one of
this.
those.
Yeah,
I
what a
got a
lot,
lot of.
man. Got a
Well,
lot of stuff.
I've got my Targaryen cardigan here, but I don't have any shirts, so I need one.
Tar,
And
car,
let's
cardigan.
tar
I don't
tar. Oh gosh, wait, it's a
Tar, Targaryen.
Targaryen.
Targaryen. I like Targaryen. Targaryen.
Oh my
Targaryen.
god. I feel like it works better when you type it, but
Yeah,
maybe not. Either
I'm calling
way.
it a Targaryen. All right, you want to read our tweet region?
Targaryen. Yeah, so with my Targaryen, I will go into the tweet. It's Eagle at Eagle Coton Scamp. Oi. I'm so sorry.
I
Uh,
gel cotton scamp. That's the way I.
I gel cotton scamp. I'm so sorry. Anyway, they tweeted they have the best cat perspective. Their cat is a
Oh yeah,
star. Do
running
we
the
even
tournament.
know their cat's name? I feel
I
like we need a
don't
name here.
need to know the cat's name. I don't know
I
it.
know. I really I feel bad just saying the cat, but
Sir
anyway,
Pounce,
yes, their cat,
Valerian,
aka the pounce that was promised.
Sir Pounce that was promised.
So they said, I couldn't tell who would be a better cat sitter. I mean, they're both quite focused on their own goals. So I figured I'd let my cat choose. In the end, her opinion is very important too. Wise from previous attempts to get her to choose between post it notes. See previous polls. And then there was a video attached here. And looking at the video, I think the cat picked Olena, but the cat would rather be treated by Olena.
I think I'd let Olena watch my cat over Blood Raven.
I don't know. The thing is like Blood Raven might warg into your cat, and
That's
then it's
true.
just him, right? And he's very self-centered, so
Yeah, but I don't
maybe.
want my cat worked into. I want it to just live in the
Yeah,
reach.
yeah. I
No.
was gonna say. Okay, so no warging Olena here.
Yeah,
We
I'm
want
taking
Olena.
Olena. You can live in
Yeah,
the reach, very plentiful, be a very well fed cat.
yeah. She's got a
I'm
lot of
going Olena.
cheese plates. We know that.
Tons of cheese plates. Yep. Alrighty. Back into support staff here. Maester Amon versus Melisandre. So this one went into a face-off. So in the face-off, we only had 996 votes on that one. And so this one, I know it went into a face-off. This one was kind of interesting with the way things went. There were some interesting circumstances. We won't go too far into it here. Just an amount of votes that triggered a face-off. I think it was rightfully so. And you saw in this face-off, Amon took it with this one, 59.0% of the vote. Amon Melisandre, we expected this one to be close. I remember talking about this last time, right? That their
Mhm.
average votes were very close. Their margins were very close coming into
Yeah,
this. Well, I guess it was, but
and
yeah,
again, this is kind of the year of the dragon. The
yeah.
Targaryens seem to be doing very well, especially these major characters like Dany, Bloodraven, Alysanne, and Maester Aemon, excuse me.
Yeah.
So they have been doing really well, and he is a beloved Targaryen that you meet in, the books, and he has connections to Egg. He's kind of
Mm-hmm.
all around here, and so he's doing really well this year because I remember last year he went out to, I forget who he went out to.
Second or third round, yeah.
He went out. I remember he went out kind of tragically for me. It might have been, I don't know if it was Mel, but it was somebody.
Yeah. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm not sure. I don't have it pulled up.
Yeah, well, he went out last year pretty early, so I'm really excited to see him going through this time. I know I'm a
Yeah.
big Mel stan. I love Mel, but just it wasn't her. It's not the year of Valor here, so
Not
we'll have
yet.
to
Not
just
yet.
go for the Targs here.
I think, yeah, look, I'm all Targs this year too, so I'm happy about it. I do think, I mean, like I said, we're gonna get more Mel in books to come, and it'll be interesting to see how people's opinions change as we get more source material for her. Now, mind you, I understand in the show, I really liked her ending in the show. Her seeing the dawn, her ending scene, I would specifically say I really liked just the fact that she was put on this earth to bring the dawn. That was what she believed, and she after the short night battle, whatever you want to freaking call it, but she sees the sun come up and she walks out to it, and that's her end. And I thought that was poetically very powerful, so I really did enjoy that. But there's just always something about, for me, certainly, like the literature just hits me a little bit differently than even the television screen does. So I think getting certain aspects of this in book format at some point in the future, I don't know when. God, I hope it's soon. Will affect how people think about these characters, of course. So I love Maester Aemon, though. I'm glad he moved on. Like I said, he's a character who has been here since the Duncan Egg novellas. We point to Bloodraven as being a character who's been around for a long time, and that's due to metaphysical things, right? But Maester Aemon is purely purely from old age, been around for about just as long as Bloodraven has. So that's incredible. I believe he lived to be 101 years old. So,
Well, it's crazy
strong
because
here.
him and Bloodraven spent a lot of time together at the
They did.
wall. And I'm thinking, like, what was happening then?
I know.
Was Bloodraven given some like anti-aging secrets? I don't
Yeah, I don't
know.
know. Yeah.
It's kind of shady. It's kind of shady. Maester Eamon's got a lot to answer for, in my opinion, there. But moving on to our tweet regent is Sam on the Gatehouse. Again, one of our best Twitter commenters of the
Oh
whole
yeah.
tournament. I love this one. Remember when Aemon and Sam hanged up to somehow rig the Lord Commander vote off? Please don't let him get away with his old tricks again here. The man clearly hates democracy. Vote Mel, which I thought was really funny.
Amon rigging elections since 299 AC, 300 AC. That
Since who
Amon.
know? I mean, the Great Council?
Oh, there you go.
Because wasn't that supposed to. Ooh,
He's a
okay.
Amon's a Russian bot. I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh. Pretty much.
Yeah,
Comrade.
yeah.
Comrade.
Com-
Comrade.
Comrade Amon Targaryen. That was not a Russian accent. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
it's probably
right.
better that way.
Com-
Moving on to
Comrade Amon
our
Targaryen. Okay.
last match. Comrade Amon said to move on quickly, please. To our last matchup, the Warriors, Oberyn Martell beats Stannis Baratheon. Oh, by
Sad.
4%. 45
Sad.
votes.
I'm upset.
45 votes. Ugh.
45
So,
votes. Frank, you could have gotten 45 votes. You could have made 45 accounts.
no, come on. So, yeah, if we all made, what, 5 accounts, we'd only need
9 people.
9 people to do that. Come on.
God damn it. I'm
Why didn't we do this? We should have had a group chat going. Should have had a Standerman group chat. Either way, I've got a Standerman song that will release on at Lipringers at some point, hopefully before next year. But sad, sad, sad. All right, so 1.4%, 3,225 votes. Stannis had 1,590. Oberyn had 1,635. And Oberyn comes to face Brienne next round, which I think he will lose to Brienne. How about you?
Yep, I think he is going to lose. I said it earlier. I already talked about this matchup, but man, I really thought Stannis was going to win this one. I don't know what it is about Stannis. Something about not inspiring loyalty, huh? Or love, not inspiring love. Gosh, it's almost like it's meta. But man, yeah, poor Stannis. You know what? He did make it pretty far. I guess I'm more surprised at how well Oberyn's been doing. Like I said earlier in the episode here, but yeah, Oberyn does move on. He is definitely going to. If Oberyn beats Brienne, I will call foul play.
I will riot. I will riot.
I will. I will absolutely riot. I will drive to Utah and force Matt and Scad
I
to
will be
change
like,
it. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. I'll be very surprised. Is really what
Comrade Oberyn.
Comrade Oberyn, how did you do this?
Yeah, that's sorry. I don't want to ruffle any feathers here, but somebody who's not afraid to ruffle any feathers at Benioff and Weiss, our tweet regent, said Oberyn obviously should have worn a helmet during his duel with the Mountain. This is referenced in The Mandalorian, in which Pedro Pascal, Oberyn, plays a character who refuses to ever take off his helmet.
Love it. It's
Which
it's honestly so
did you see
funny.
The Mandalorian?
We've been talking about watching it in
Oh
quarantine.
my God,
I'm
what is
aware
wrong with
though. I
you?
know. I'm sorry. I haven't watched
Uh,
it yet. No,
it's
we are
so
going
good.
to.
Have you seen Breaking Bad?
Yes, I've seen Breaking Bad. Yes,
Have you
love Breaking
seen
Bad.
Better Call Saul?
No, I haven't. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
gosh. Okay, you need to at me for some recommendations. Anyway, yeah, no, I love that they brought, sorry, spoiler alert, at the end of The Mandalorian, they bring Gus Fring,
Oh,
Gustavo
did it
Fring,
really? Yeah.
as a villain for
Oh,
Pedro
I saw
Pascal.
that. Yeah, I saw that on
Yeah.
Twitter somewhere. Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. Love the reference. It's really funny because yes, he refuses to take off his helmet.
It is literally so funny though. Like it seems like maybe even an Easter egg in there. But yeah, I will watch Mandalorian at some point here.
Yes, please
Probably.
do. Let me know what you do.
I really don't have an excuse not to watch it right now, so I really need to. That Better Call Saul too. I've been wanting to watch because I loved Breaking Bad. I've seen Breaking Bad.
Good. It's so good. Those
Yeah,
are two of my favorite. I mean, Better Call Saul is on right now. It's really good. So
yeah.
please watch. All
So,
right. Well, let's go to our round four leaderboard.
uh,
So I do have to preface with this, but this time it seems like with the way that they organize the brackets, which I'm loving the changes here, that the number of votes seems to be the best indicator instead of this
does
yeah, instead of this average percentage because people have different paths
such
in their
different
bracket.
matchups. Yeah.
Yeah, like Danny has a really hard path this year versus, Brienne, who's faced, a few kind of lesser characters. And, not to take away her power, because she's got a lot
Oh,
in
for
in
sure.
this roundup, and I think she's going to be a power player in the final four. But leading us to our round four leaderboard, we have number one, Daenerys Targaryen with an average vote count of 2,860. Number two, Arya Stark with 1,919. Number three, Brienne of Tarth with 1,860. Number four, Oberyn Martell with 1,412. And number five, almost nearly a tie, Sandor Clegane with 1,411. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Look at Oberyn there at number four. I'm just so surprised
He's
he's
neck
doing
and
this
neck.
well.
He's basically the same kind of competitor as Sandor is.
That's shocking. Is the Mandalorian giving Oberyn Martell a bump? I wonder. Like seriously, like I wonder if
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's
yeah.
very surprising. But look at that difference between Danny and Arya there, like we've talked about. 751 votes between the two there. Pretty surprising. I think it's the year of the dragon. That's my guess here. As of day of recording, I'm still guessing Daenerys is gonna take this one. I think she deserves it.
I
I
hope
really
she
do.
does. I
Yeah.
hope she does.
Yep.
I love me some Danny. I got my Targ vibes all over the place. I love Danny. Always have, always will. You can't make me. I don't
Yep.
want it. She's my
Yep.
queen.
Me too. She's my queen. Her and Sansa. Can they both be my queens? I just want them both to be my queens. I love them both.
You know what? Honestly, I think they would have gotten along. I don't know what
I
that
do
fanfic
too. I don't get it. Yeah, I think like they'll just you be the queen. I'll
and
be
we
the
all
king.
just get
Cool.
along.
Yeah.
We got we
Anyway.
got many queens up in here. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to move on to the calendar?
Yeah. So coming up in our big shots round, so I'll go through each one here. On 331, we've got Arya and Danny, followed by Sandor and Aemon on Wednesday. Thursday will be Alysanne versus Bloodraven. Then on Friday, Brienne versus Oberyn Martell. Going into the weekend on Saturday, we're going to have in the big shots either Danny and Arya versus the winner of Sandor and Aemon. And then on Sunday, we will have the players versus Warriors, Alysanne and or Bloodraven versus Brienne and or Oberyn. So we're getting down into it. It's starting to bottleneck, and we'll see before long here. We are going to have a champion, I believe, here, like next Tuesday or Wednesday. We're going to have our champion of a Song of Madness 2020. Who's your pick? So are we both picking Danny? Is
Danny.
that all
Yeah, I
right?
think it's gonna be Danny. I think it's gonna be
Me
Danny
too.
versus Brienne,
Me too.
and I think Danny will prevail. But I'd be happy with either, honestly.
Me too. I think we're gonna see Danny versus Brienne, and I would be happier with. I wish I could be different from you, but yeah, I think that's what
Yeah.
we're gonna see. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Anything else to add here in closing, Triple?
Stay mad, fam.
Stay mad, guys. Stay safe out there. Thank you for joining us here today. We will be talking to you again here to close out the tournament, and it's been a fun one. It's been mad and crazy and fun going through all of it. And yeah, guys, until next time, have a good one. Stay safe.